afternoon, cherished viewers, and welcome to the first episode of the NSMQ Live Chat 2024. My name is Isaac Kwejukrine, and I'll be your host for this episode. The live chat is a conversation with past participants of the NSMQ as they get to share their experiences and life after the NSMQ. For today's episode, we are graced to have Anjali Rathod in our midst. So let me give a brief profile of Anjali. So Anjali's participation in the NSMQ was in 2019. Anjali's participation in the NSMQ was in 2019. Anjali showcased her knowledge and analytical skills in a highly competitive environment. Although her school, Tamale Senior High School, was ultimately bested by St. Augustine's College, Anjali's performance demonstrated her resilience and determination. This experience did not hinder her drive for excellence across various aspects of her life. We have Anjali on the line and we would like to hear her story from the horse's own mouth. Anjali, good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. Welcome to the NSMQ Live Chat 2024.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we've read your profile to the audience, and we would like to hear your story from the horse's own mouth. So, can you kindly tell us about your family and your early life?
Okay, so my parents are Indian and they moved to Ghana, specifically Tamale, about 25 years ago. So I was born and brought up in Tamale. So I have only one sibling. She's my elder sister. She's a medical doctor at the moment. Yes, and my parents, like my family lives in Tamale. So that's where I literally grew up. I attended crèche, primary, JHS, SHS, all in Tamale.
So, you're a Tamale girl, I could say.
Technically, but for the past 4 years, I'm now an Accra girl.
That girl. All right. So, is it something that brought them to Ghana? Something probably work profession.
Yes, it was work related. My uncle started his business there, and then he brought my dad to also work with him.
Okay, very good. For us at the NSMQ, we've always seen you learning, carrying books, reading, answering questions, and all that. So, do you have any hobbies or interests outside of the academics that we know you to be?
Um, so my hobbies are strangely okay in a way academically related because during my free time, when I do have free time, I listen to podcasts and I don't really have any hobbies. In quotes, a certain kind of hobby. I enjoy data analysis. So during my free time, you can see me scanning through different kind of data, identifying trends and patterns. So yeah, my life's a bit boring.
It's not boring. It's not boring. It's magical. Continue.
Yes. So in my free time, I don't really do anything people would term as fun. But yeah, I listen to podcasts, music, I take walks. Yeah, data
So,
analysis, like I said.
okay, so what kind of music do you listen to? What kind of podcast?
Um, so the music I listen to is strictly gospel, and
I thought you were going to
the
say
podcast.
Indian music.
Oh no, I strictly listen to gospel music, and the podcasts they vary. They vary from gospel to I listen to educative podcasts like I can listen to random podcasts on immunology, on pathology, like things I didn't study in school.
Wow,
I even listen to podcasts on business, um, yeah, business
okay,
entrepreneurship. So I like to
that's
be
beautiful.
well. Yes.
That's beautiful. So, how do you get out of your school?
Uh, Please, can you take that again?
How did you hear about the NSMQ, and how did you get to participate in the NSMQ, or how did you get
So
to be among your team? Like,
okay, so I heard about NSMQ first when I was in junior high school I attended Little Flower School Complex in Tamale. So I was very good in science and math. So my math teacher, for instance, he used to talk to me a lot about NSMQ because he was like, he's taught many students, but the kind of scores I was getting in his mocks, which he says very difficult questions, but I still ended up scoring like 98, 99%. So he used to get very impressed, and then he actually told me that when I'm after BEC I should go to Wesley Girls. But then my parents didn't agree because he wanted me to be part of the Gay NSMQ team. But I didn't know Tamasco had an NSMQ team. My sister was attending Tamasco at that time, but she wasn't so interested in NSMQ and those things. So she didn't really tell me about the team. It was one day randomly, I was watching NSMQ on GTV, and then I saw that it was a contest between Tamasco and Adisadel. I think that was the year Adisadel won in 2016. And at that time, the Tamasco contestants gave Adisadel a run for their money. So I was impressed. And I was like, all along I've underrated Tamasco, but they're actually doing well in NSMQ. So when my dad was like, I should go to Tamasco, I had the hope that okay, when I go to Tamasco, I'll try for the quiz team. So immediately I got into the school first year, I started asking questions. I started looking for my seniors. And I was asking them. So I found Zuera. Yes, I found Zuera very early, and Yunus at that time. If you ask them, they'll tell you. I was constantly worrying them, asking them questions. How did they do it? Like, what are some of the ways that I can become more fast or become more efficient? So right from first year, I started asking questions, and I think luckily for me at that time, they started recruiting people in first year. Um, our coordinator at that time, he wanted to start training first years, so he made us he I think at the end of first term he used the results, and then he picked the best two students from each of the science classes, and I had topped my class at that time. So he picked myself and Mubasir, our third contestant, and then he picked Sanusi and another person from Sanusi and I were in different science classes. So he handpicked the best two from each class. Then he put us together to write an impromptu, tests. And then the test was based on some of the questions that were had been asked in the NSMQ previous years. And we were caught off guard without any prior notice or any learning or any training. Like we had just come to school, then they called us, then they took us to an SMP quiz room, gave us um the printed exam sheet, and then like the times was very limited. Then based on that, they then picked the best two students out of the six of us. So that's how I got to be a part of the team in my first year.
Beautiful story. And so, what are some of your fondest memories in the NSMQ? Did you guys come from the regionals in that year?
No, we actually
No,
came
like
from the one.
the one is
Yes.
okay. You were seeded. Your predecessors
Yes,
had fought with you.
they fought a very good battle.
All
Sanusi
right.
had actually come the previous year with Yunus.
Yeah, okay. With Zurera, or Zurera was way
No,
ahead.
yes, Zora was way ahead, like 3 years ahead of me. No, 2 years ahead of me.
Did you get any coaching or training from Zurera?
Oh, a lot. I got a lot of training from Zuera and Yunus. After Zuera left, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with her, but I got to be with Yunus and the other team members longer. So I was always worrying Yunus.
Oh, that's
Like
beautiful.
he can testify. I've really worried him.
Okay, so tell us some of your fondest memories, probably worrying him and other stuff that you remember on the NSMQ.
Um, so our team at a point, I was the only girl on the team. So I was with the guys in the team, and then we had this fun thing we used to do, especially when so our coordinator used to really drill us. Then to sort of alleviate our stress because we weren't allowed to have phones and stuff. So he used to download this.
Hello, Anjali. Yeah, viewers, we seem to be having a little network challenge. Should be back soon on the line. Okay, thank you for
Hi,
joining us once again. Yeah, I can hear you
can
now.
you hear?
Yes,
The
please.
screen froze for a bit, so I was
Yes,
confused. I had to
please.
log back in. Yes,
Right, right. So your fondest memories, as you were.
yes. So I was sharing that. So he used to like download the videos for us and then play it for us intermittently just to ease our stress. And then other
You were
memories
trying
maybe
to recollect the name of the show.
yes. I can't remember which show it was, but it's one of those street interviews they used to do where people give like very funny answers.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was like one of the. It was like a nice team bonding moment because we used to
Yeah.
laugh over it and all. Yes.
And your time with worrying the boys. How did it feel being the only girl among them?
Um, I mean, it didn't
Did they
really.
pamper you?
The boys didn't really. No, they didn't
They didn't
pamper
pamper
me.
you. Tamale boys.
No, I mean everybody did their work equally. I didn't really feel out of place. I mean, we had this kind of nice family bond amongst ourselves.
Challenges being a lady on the team.
Well, it's okay. It wasn't really strange because in somebody like this, when you take the science classes, I don't know if it's changed, but at my time in the science classes, you find very few ladies. Because my class like this, we were about 60 students, and we only like six girls amongst 60 amongst 54 boys, so you can do the ratio yourself. You can see like that gap. So yeah, I mean very few ladies made it to the NSMQ team. I hope it's changed though.
And now you're saying very few ladies, or you're talking about overall.
From what I remember from my seniors time, my time, and I mean 2 or 3 years ahead of me, there were very few ladies. Zura was also the only lady on her team, I mean amongst her batch.
Okay.
So it's like a
So
common thing. Yeah.
okay. So let me put you on the spot. Do you remember the time that you cried on stage?
Of course, I still haven't had the guts to go back and watch that contest. It gives me post traumatic stress disorder. Like, I
Yes.
don't want to watch that contest again.
So tell me, which during your time on the NSMQ was the most formidable or the toughest?
Um, the toughest contest would definitely be the Saint Augustine's one.
The one you cried.
Yeah, I mean, I cried too. You can tell.
Do you remember anything about it?
I remember everything about that contest.
Tell us
Like,
some. Tell us some.
honestly, before that contest, you know that thing like um when you are going for a contest, like a coordinator gives you like a pep talk, then the psychiatrist too had a talk with us and then they were trying to like say soothing words. In my mind I was like, you people should stop. Like man is hot.
Oh, but
You
it
people
helps. It
honestly,
helps, right? It helps. It helps.
I mean technically to some
And,
extent, but there was a lot of pressure on us that day.
and even before that, you had several contests. This was it a quarterfinal contest?
Yeah, it was a quarterfinal contest. I mean, we
Very
did a
good.
lot of in-house trial
Trial.
contests. And
Very-
it was
Yeah.
cool, but
So,
then the problem was the hype with Saint Augustine's. Like those people that year, I don't know. the kind of fire they came with, because the way they were bullying, I mean, teams that year, we had heard a lot about them, and everyone had written us off. But I quite remember that I got a chance to speak to the champion of the previous year. Like, he
Okay.
met me randomly during the hall, and then I mean, as we were staying, I just met him randomly in the corridor, and then we're talking about the upcoming contest. It was very strange how I met him coincidentally before my contest, because I was just sitting at the staircase thinking about what's going to happen, and then I
And
met
he
him,
didn't
and
give
then
you any gist, any pep talks. He didn't
oh,
prep
he
you.
did. He actually really helped to relieve my tension before the day. Otherwise, I don't know how I was going to do the contest, because I was really stressed. I was doing Takashi outside to my team that, oh yeah, we can do it, but internally I was screaming. So it was so coincidental how I met him. That's one of the things about NSMQ, that it goes beyond the contest. You get to connect with people and I mean learn from them. So I mean, he was very sweet. He really took his time to give me a pep talk, calm me down, and tell me that, you know what, forget about what Saint Augustine has done. Give it your best shot. Like, make sure that people remember this contest no matter the outcome. So that's what really stuck with me. And then I was like, you know what? We are going to do what you can do. At the end of the day, this should be my best contest
What can
ever.
come, can come.
Yeah. If I perish, I
So,
perish.
right, sure. So it means that the psychological well-being, the state, the composure of the contestants for a particular contest really, affects their performance, right?
Yes, it definitely does. I mean, if you go in stressed, there's no way you're going to put in your best. The game is won here before on stage. So if you lose the game over here, like, it's game over.
You lost it. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So what happens when you see some of your students are cheering you guys up, singing songs and trying to boost your confidence on stage? Does it affect you guys in any way?
Personally, for me, the kind of position we were in, I had even forgotten that we had supporters. Like, of course, you hear them shouting your name and things, and you're like, yeah, yeah, that's fine, but bro, like, you're hot.
Is it
It
when
doesn't really.
you heard Pragya? Did you hear Pragya? Did you used to hear that?
Why I heard it a lot.
You
I
heard it
heard
a
it a
lot.
lot.
But why do you think
Yeah.
people were calling you Pragya?
I wonder, Seth, because I barely look like the character. I in no way resemble, I mean, the lady that played the character. So it beats me too, but we took it like that.
But probably because maybe your parents are Indians and the pragya, it comes from the soap opera. It comes from it is an Indian soap opera, right?
Yes, it's
And
from
so it makes
Kumkum
sense.
Bhagya.
It's from Kumkumbagya. So do you speak the language?
Yes, I do. Please don't ask me to speak it.
No, I was just going to ask you what Kumkumbagya meant.
Okay, so it's like the destiny of a married woman. Like,
The
that's the
destiny.
literal direct translation.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is it that you had it on the program or you knew it? Some of
Oh,
us
I know the
we don't go
meaning.
to our hometowns, so we don't know. We can't speak our languages.
Oh, I speak two Indian languages. I'm a multilingual.
Also, there are several Indian languages in India.
Yes.
Oh,
Just as Ghana is divided into regions, India is divided into states.
yeah. Okay. So, would you kindly tell us some of your fondest memories in high school?
My fondest memory in high school. I think my
Yeah.
only
Tamale,
fondest memories would be being a part of the team.
I mean, it's still part of your fondest memories, right? It's still part. You,
Yeah,
you had the
being
chance. Tamale Senior High School gave you the chance to participate in the National Science and Maths quiz. Hey, it's not a small feat. They have done well.
oh, being a quiz girl would, I mean, it changes your whole NSM, I mean, your whole high school experience, because in Tamale Senior High they really respect the quiz boys and
Ish,
girls.
ish. You guys were having separate dining and two breads and and eggs and all that.
Oh, the boys used to enjoy that. Me, I was a day student, so I barely went for
Oh,
dining.
then you were sharp. Oh. You hardly find a day student among the participants. They were all boarders. So how were you learning with them?
Well, it took a lot of sacrifice from my father, especially because when he closes from, because my dad was the one that used to take me to school and back. Because where my school was and where our house is like very far, so he didn't like the idea of me traveling late at night. So he used to close from work, then he'll come and wait for me until we close team meetings, then he'll drive me back home. So
Wow. But some
it's,
of
I
them
would
were not.
say,
Were they not doing TDB? You know TDB till they break.
oh, they used to do that, but I've never been a group studies kind of person. So I mean, I prefer studying on my own.
Shack. First
Oh,
of all, you were a distant, you were learning on your own. Hey, what else don't we know
me,
about you?
there's a lot of there's a lot of very weird pics I have. For instance, I can't listen to a voice note or a video on 1.0 speed. I have to listen to it at either 1.5 speed or 2.0 speed.
Hey. So even
Even when I'm,
the continue, continue. We want to hear. We want
I,
to hear.
I mean, people don't get this. I don't know how I've programmed myself, but when I'm watching a movie, for instance, and I'm using VLC media player, I can watch the
Right.
movie on 2.5 speed, sometimes 3.0 speed.
Wow.
So
The
now
normal
I
VLC that
can't,
we all use,
yes, so
and
I
you
can't
also
watch,
understand everything.
yes, I can't watch videos at normal speed anymore. So even my podcast is always set to 2.0 speed.
I hope you
I've
don't
got to
drive.
use, no,
I pray you don't drive.
no.
Okay, so we want to know how participating in the NSMQ has impacted your life after the NSMQ.
Honestly, without NSMQ, I don't know what I was going to do. Because NSMQ, like my God, it's a life changing experience. Well, I'll not say only because I got the chance to be a part of the team for my entire stay in high school. Because some only get to be a part of the team in their year in high school. But I was a part throughout, and I got to come for the nationals every single time. So it's like every batch, I got to meet new people. And NSMQ training, first of all, I mean, it taught me a lot of things that I really needed in university. I really applied those things like teamwork, um, a form of discipline and seriousness. Because when you're a quiz girl, you can't be messing up with your studies, you can't be procrastinating, you can't say you won't learn. So it sort of puts that sense of responsibility on you. Then there's a teamwork aspect. Then the speed, the whole analytical thinking, the problem solving. I mean, NSMQ sort of, it's not just about the cramming, but it gives you that mindset of a problem solver. So that's really helped me. And I think the best of all would be the friendships and the relationships I've gotten from NSMQ, the people I've met from different schools, different phases of lives, and I'm still in touch with some of them. Some of the friendships I have from NSMQ are like my longest friendships so far. I'm still in touch
Um,
with contestants
um,
from almost 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So
um,
I mean, it's, and these were the people that actually, some of them actually guided me to people who guided me throughout my university. And I met some of these people in university again. So, I mean, NSMQ is not just about the competition, but then the kind
right.
of connections you make lifelong. I mean, some of these people are now my closest friends.
So let's think about this analogy. You have an average student. We've received the information that you just gave that the NSMQ helped you with the teamwork, discipline, and the speed, the analytical skill. So with this now you're telling me that even when you're watching movies on VLC that we all watch, sometimes when you're watching a movie and the movie is too fast for you, some of these especially when a movie has just been released and it's just the studio version that you will have to actually lower the speed so that you can get every aspect of it because the quality is not so clear. And you are telling me that even for those versions of movies, you still have to watch it on VLC at 2.5 speed. Is it something that is natural, or the NSMQ team could pick just an average student and make the person a legend, a genius? How do you play between these two scenarios?
For my speed thing, I think maybe I have a problem, but it's
You think, you think it's a problem?
it. I don't
So
know.
was
I
it
don't know if
there
people do
before
it.
NSMQ, or NSMQ had an impact on it?
I think that thing I started doing it more when I got to university. Cause when I was doing NSMQ, I didn't watch. I wasn't allowed to watch movies or, I mean, listen to podcasts or anything. I wasn't really actively using phone or social media. But yeah,
Wow. So
it's
then again,
cultivated it in
so,
university.
so then again, to,
I'm
to
sure
be an
NSMQ
exceptional
pushed
student,
it.
so then again, to be an exceptional student or an exceptional NSMQ participant, your teachers play a role, your parents play a role, you yourself play a role. I mean, your
Your
environment,
team.
your psychological well-being, your team. Wow,
Yep.
wow, wow. We are really, 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 really learning a lot. We are really learning a lot, and thank you for opening our eyes. Thank you. So, having been following the recent NSNQs, I remember that you came on the NSNQ, I think 2022, right, as a PA, right?
Yes,
How
I
was the
did.
experience like?
Oh, it's really great contributing to the whole organization of the program. You get to see, you get to see and appreciate the hard work that Primetime puts into, putting the show out there. Because when you're backstage and then you're feeling the heat and the pressure of making sure everything is on time, and you really, really appreciate the hard work Primetime is putting in.
Very good. So, what would you tell people? You see, usually when you are just a fan, you are quick to make judgments, you are quick to make pronouncements, some favorable, some unfavorable, from the participant point of view. I've heard participants say a whole lot of things. Some people even think that we favor some schools, something that we do certain things, we lose. I mean, you hear all sort of things on the internet, especially, and then among the NSNQ circles on campus. People actually believe that prime time has a hand in who becomes the winner of the NSNQ or the winner of a particular contest. Say, probably a quiz mistress is favoring a particular school. Now, I believe that when you were a participant, you had your beliefs, you had your own perception of the NSMQ or prime time or the organization in general. And when you became a team member, now being at the receiving end, what would you want to? You're laughing. You are the perfect specimen for this question. So, what would you tell people, especially naysayers who believe that the NSNQ prime time has a hand in it? The Ministry of Education, people say a whole lot of things. Tell people something that you have been at the participating end and the organizing end. Tell them something from your
Okay,
sincere
so
experience.
yeah, to be very honest, even when I was a part of the team before I became a contestant, so I used to go to the venues prior to the contest because I was tasked with writing the questions as the quiz minister sees it. So,
Okay.
I saw the
For your school,
organization. Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah, for my seniors. So as she's saying, I'm writing it. So I used to be there like literally the whole day until the contest ends. So I saw everything that was going on. So sometimes when people were making comments like prime time is biased, prime time is favoring Persec, I'll be like, you people, do you know what is going on? Because when I became a production assistant, that's when I really felt the pressure that every member of the team feels. Because to the people that, when you're watching from outside, you are free to make your perceptions. People have their biases. And I feel like sometimes some schools can be sore losers. They don't want to accept the fact that they've lost. So it's like they're trying to find someone else to blame. The truth of the matter is that the questions are with the quiz mistresses. Nobody has access to the questions. And the quiz mistresses, no school is paying them that they will say, okay, dear, let me sell the questions to this school. They have nothing to gain from it. And some of the quiz mistresses, I know them personally. Prof. Kaufman has been my lecturer for the past 4 years. I've worked with her closely. This woman has graded my IAs, my as I can tell you that this woman is very, very principled. The fact that she knew me from NSMQ didn't mean that she was going to give me any favor or she was going to give me any extra score. Even when I fool, this woman will deduct the mark. Whether she knows me or not, whatever rapport we have outside of NSMQ, it doesn't matter to her. So I can tell for a fact that all the quiz mistresses you see there, they are very principled people. They have nothing to gain from any school winning. It's not like they're going to give them part of the money. The money that even goes to their school, prime time is not getting it. Prime time is actually investing money in that. So when people make certain comments, it's very funny for me. I just wish that maybe one day we'll catch them and they come and bring them, add them to the production team so they see what is going on. Because honestly, sometimes even when there's always this complaint that prime time delays production and we don't start on time. Honestly, if you come to the venue, you come and see why we are starting late. It's very difficult trying to get all the schools to comport themselves, all the supporters to comport themselves, even when contestants on stage and prime time PAs are telling the audience to, be calm, let them hear the question. They don't listen to us. Some of the production assistants cry, some of the supporters have tried to beat some people before. So like we really bred to get this thing out there. So I feel like people should, try to remove every form of bias from their mind. And sometimes try and put yourself in the shoes of the organizers, try and put yourself in the shoes of the people working to get this out there. And just sometimes think through the statements that you are projecting. Think about it. You say prime time is biased. What do they stand to gain from it? It's not like Presec is going to pay us money or Prempe is going to pay prime time money. Like some of the claims, it just doesn't make sense.
Okay, so it means that you are surely following current competitions, right? Your knowledge that you just provided means that you are following current competitions, right? Like current subsequent competitions from when you participated.
Yes, I am. And then I also follow like the comments on social media. Like we have our NSMQ page, former contestants. So sometimes we do talk about these things. Yes.
There's been several changes, there's been additions, there's been deductions, all for the good of the competition. So, what do you make of the trajectory that the NSMQ is taking in recent times?
I think that they're actually, it's good to see modifications and changes because sometimes when you see the same thing for a very long time, you get bored. But yeah, Prime is very good at receiving feedback and then implementing it. So, I'm actually excited to see what the next few years are going to look like.
Viewers, if you have any question that you want to ask Anjali, we are here to read your questions and your comments for you. So kindly, if you have anything on your mind, just go to the comment section and write it. We'll read it to her to answer you. Okay. So I have this question from Vanessa Blessnorgy. Please ask her if she has a social life, best friend, boyfriend, etc. And does she go out to parties or events? Anjali, you are in the hot seat.
This one, dear, you really caught me. So, parties. People don't even invite me for parties. So, I don't go out. I'm not really
Have
an
a
out.
social life. Do you have a social life?
Do I have a social life? I have a very close knit friends group. Like, um, I go out once in a blue moon. Can be once or twice a year. But yeah, I don't really go to parties, social events, unless it's it's a research conference or it's a church program, I don't really go out. Um, to my dating life, no comments on that. I wouldn't want to talk about that.
Okay, that's fine. But you have best friends, right?
I do. And for some reason, I'm not going to mention the person's name because the person is an NSMQ, was an NSMQ contestant. Can you hear me?
Clearly. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I was saying that my best friend was a past NSMQ contestant, so I don't want to mention any. It seems I can't really
So,
hear you.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's fine now.
People online want to know. We know that there are some junior high school students listening, some senior high school students listening, some NSMQ participants listening. They want to know your learning strategies, the ways that you go about your learning. So could you kindly give us some?
Um, I don't really like to give learning strategies because what works for me might not necessarily work for you.
The 2.5 speed does not work for anybody. Eh?
No. So when it comes to learning strategies, I have a different approach for every subject or every course. So it depends on the subjects. So I don't really have a straightforward, rigid kind of schedule. I'm very adaptable. And yes, I do rely more on I like to ask my seniors a lot of questions. So have somebody that can sort of coach you or groom you on the course contents. So you have a fair idea of what you're going to meet and maybe what works for them, what didn't work for them. And then I pick a few leaves from their book and then I add it to mine. So I like to learn from people's experiences and then I carve my own experience. So I don't have a rigid schedule that okay, I'm going to study for 2 hours straight. I yeah, like sometimes I can use Pomodoro technique. Sometimes I do freestyle. It depends solely on the course content. That's why I don't really like giving learning strategies. But the main
Hello?
advice I'll give is that hello,
Can you hear me? You mentioned that
yes,
sometimes you use homo what? Homo something.
uh, Pomodoro technique. You study straight for 25 minutes. You take a 5 minutes break. Study again for 25 minutes. But that one I don't really like it. I just tried it once or twice.
Okay.
Yes. So I think
We should have
everybody
hope.
should.
Should have his own way. Learning is flexible. Everyone has a way of capturing
Yeah.
information, processing information, storing information. But there's a
Yes.
common way that works, right? We know that if I remember my math teacher telling me that become a bookworm and see the results. Whether is that analogy, right? He said that become a bookworm. So the fact that you're always learning, does that mean that it? First of all, does it affect your intelligence level or your knowledge level when you are always learning, or you should just be flexible at all times, doing your own
Um,
things?
I think that there should be a balance between your studying and then, I mean, like you should be able to have some fun or like
So like
breaks
going
and
out
all.
once a year.
Please don't follow me. Me, I don't have a social life. But I mean, I feel like everybody should learn how to learn. Like which way works for them. Some people are visual learners. Some can just read a book and then the concept is there. And I think the important thing is not only reading, but like being able to understand what you are reading. But yeah, reading
Very
often helps, not just your textbooks, but like reading far and wide, it opens your mind.
okay. So tell us life after school, life after Tama. We are more concerned about because of our orientation or dispensation. We deal with senior high schools. So kindly tell us life after senior high school, life after Tamale Senior High School, how the journey has been for you, what you've been about, and what you're currently doing.
So I think everybody saw my graduation pictures. So I did biomedical
Yeah,
engineering
it
at
was all
University of,
over.
yeah. I mean, I had people sending screenshots to my parents. So yeah, I did biomedical engineering at University of Ghana. So my parents wanted
You-
me to be a medical doctor like my sister, but it didn't work out, and I ended up doing biomedical engineering. But I don't
Why didn't
regret
you
it.
work out?
But
What happened?
oh, Legon bounced me. Oh.
But you attended Tamale Senior High School, and I learned that up north UDS takes 4 A's, 3 A's with good grades. You can do your, or you didn't want to go back to Tamale.
No, I was tired of I was tired of somebody. I wanted, and I felt like I was following my sister's footstep, ditto. I
Footsteps.
wanted to do something different because she went to Tamale SHS, then she went to UDS, she became a doctor. So I was like, we have one doctor in the family. You push, let me do something different. So I did biomedical engineering. Well, initially I thought that, oh, I'll do 1 year, then go back to medical school. But after first year, I was like, nah, I'm going to stick to this program. So now that I've graduated, so I'm volunteering at my department as a teaching assistant and research assistant. So I've been a graduate teaching and research assistant since I completed university, and I also do part-time work with Adeo Ghana. So Adeo is basically a startup company that they build learning apps for students, different subjects. So I create content for chemistry, so providing chemistry questions, explanations, and answers. And yeah, I also do data analytics freelancing. So I offer data analysis services, statistical data analysis services for those who need it. So if anybody
Yeah.
is who's watching and wants data
Yes.
analysis or help with that, they should contact me.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm doing a lot of things aside my research work. Like
That's
I'm doing so
beautiful.
much.
That's beautiful. Okay, so I have a comment from Ket Amwa. Ket says, how did she blend her being in the final year and was about to write WASI and being in the NSMQ? So what Ket is trying to ask is, how did you blend how do you interplay between being in the final year student, you were coming to write WASI, and then participating in the NSMQ? But I think this is straightforward, but I'll leave you to answer.
So to me, I feel like the NSMQ training actually really helped me in the WASI because I wrote my email paper without using a calculator.
Wow. That's
Yeah, I wrote my emails and
beautiful.
comments bar without a calculator because our NSMQ training at Tamasco is they'll drill you. It's very hard. And I had written, I don't know if I should say this, but I wrote Novdek when I was in my second year. So I had a fair idea of what to expect in YC. And throughout, I mean, as I was preparing for the quiz, I still made sure that my core subjects, I was still, doing my past school, going through the course material. Because, I mean, NSMQ trains you for the electives, but you as a contestant, you should be smart enough to, I mean, give some attention to the core
Okay, this
subjects so that you are, I mean, yeah.
okay, but you would agree with me that the NSMQ team training for the competition, there's a laid down training procedure that works, right? And because of that lay down procedure that works for NSMQ participants, a contestant or a participant who was a student, let me say more generally, was able to write the WASI elective mathematics without a calculator. And so, why don't they train all the students, you know, through the same procedure or means that they train the NSNQ participants, so that every other student can write the elective maths without a calculator. Because you would agree with me that it is not by chance or by any extraordinary intelligence that you were able to write the elective maths without a calculator, but because of some training that you have. And so, why are they training the NSMQ participants, with a different procedure, and then the masses with another procedure that if they don't get calculators, they cannot write the WASI, and even some write with calculators and still fail. But you will hardly get an NSMQ participant failing. Have you talked about this?
So um for math subjects like this, I think that the problem starts from junior high school, because not every student likes math. If you do a survey, only about 2 or 3 out of 10 people will be like, "Oh, I like math." So there's this general notion that maths is difficult. But then, as a contestant, maths is actually one of the easiest subjects for any NSMQ contestant, because it's straightforward. Once you know the formulas, you know how to work your way around the problem, you are good to go. And because we are trained to, NSMP, we don't use calculators, so we are trained. So it's like we sort of psych ourselves right from the onset that, we are not using calculators. So even when you are studying personally, we had to train ourselves that even when we are studying for maybe end of term exams, or we are writing end of term exams in school, we train ourselves not to use a calculator. Okay, personally, that's what I did. I trained myself not to use a calculator. So I feel like, beyond NSMQ, if a student really wants to excel in maths, by disciplining themselves, by implementing measures such as, training yourself not to use a calculator, you'll be fine. So it's not like the NSMQ team intentionally, trains contestants a particular way. Because of the format of the contest, we don't use calculators. So, obviously, you have to accustom yourself to not using a calculator. So, if high schools decide to eliminate, the use of calculators, students will be forced to learn, how to solve questions without using calculators.
Okay, so I have a second question here. Hi, Anjali. In 2019, this is what I was laughing about. So, hi, Anjali. In 2019 contest, how did you find the St. Augustine's College team, especially Stephen Jimmy Newton? So, let me repeat the question. Oh, you got it right.
Yeah, I got it right.
Right.
I mean, we knew that Newton was going to come in during the riddles, and we had maintained, quite a gap. So the minute he started picking all the riddles, like, we had already lost hope.
Ah. So, even prior to the riddles, you were leading St. Augustine's? Oh,
I think by then we were at par, but we had led
okay,
them
I
from
thought
the
five.
first round.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how did you find him? He made you cry.
He's not the reason I cried. I cried because we lost the
You
contest.
lost.
Those 3 boys were the reason for, like, us losing the contest. So I didn't cry because of one particular person.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Daniel Andre George, he says, which school is she tipping for this year's NSNQ trophy? We have Presec, we have Akraka, we have Tamale SHS, right? We have Menya Krobo SHS, we have Yilo Krobo, we have so many others. So, which team are you tipping for the NSNQ 2024 post
I'm
30th
not
anniversary?
I've not really followed this year's regional contests, so I can't really tell, like, I can't really
The schools that are
predict which
qualified. At least you know the seeded schools. Usually, mostly the winners. I'm not in a position to say that, but if you follow the
oh,
trajectory, you see that usually the winning schools usually. I'm very careful with my words because So at least so we have at the 27 seeded schools. So you could choose one of them.
No, I'll refrain from choosing one because in previous years, schools have come from the regional level to win their trophy. So NSMQ is very unpredictable. Like I don't think you can predict which team is going to win right from regionals. Maybe when they start prelims, they start 1/8. Get even as at quarterfinals, sometimes it becomes very hard to predict which school is going to win. So please, I don't want to mention any names.
I could imagine the intensity during your contest with St. Augustine's College. I learned that during the true or false, which is a question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, you guys had clean sheets, both St. Augustine College and yourself. You had clean sheets
Yes.
throughout the speed race, the true or false. How
Yes,
was the
throughout the show.
intensity? How were you, marking the time of the contest? I want you to walk us through that feeling. We have about just 6 minutes. I want you to walk us through that feeling of that final content. And what is so in this thing is that St. Augustine's College actually won the contest. You just give us 1 minute of that final contest, your final contest with St. Augustine's College.
Um, well, before you go in for a contest, every team has kind of like a game plan. So we've planned already that okay. So we know that this is the number of questions that's going to come from each of these sections, and we knew that we knew our weak areas, and then we knew the topics that we are not very good with. So we are praying that those topics don't come. And we're praying that the topics that I mean are suitable our strong points would come. And we knew that as for maths, no matter where the question is going to pass, we have to get all our math questions right. And we had already planned that the true or false, no matter what happens, we have to get all correct. Because we had heard Newton's track record. We knew that Newton was the dawn of true or false. I mean, for St. Augustus, we
So
knew he
you
was going
met
to come
him,
during
I
that.
think, for both. All right. So now we would like to know your future plans, your aspirations going forward. We would like to end with that. It's been a wonderful conversation. We've enjoyed you. Just, give us your future plans.
So future plans, I'm more research oriented. My research interest is mainly in cancer therapeutics. So developing effective therapies for treating cancer. And I mean, I like to go into research full time and also become a professor. I love teaching.
A professor
And
of biomedical
yeah,
sciences. Yes.
Professor of biomedical engineering of cancer therapeutics. We'll see. We'll see where the future takes us. But yeah, I'd like to be a professor and a research scientist. And I also want to be an entrepreneur. I also want to, I mean, pursue data analytics on the side. I want to do so many things. We'll see what the future has for me.
So would you give a shout out to the Tamale SHS teachers, those who trained you, and then your classmates who are watching?
Definitely shout outs to all the OTAs, all the Apo ladies and Apo men at Tamale Senior High, to our coordinator at the time, our trainer, Mr. James Akampulimba, and Sequest, to all the trainers of the quiz team, to the entire primetime staff, to all the old contestants of NSMQ, to all the fans.
All right. The Tamale SHS people are called what? I had something flashed in my mind, but I couldn't really catch it.
Oh, so
Oh, what?
the science students are mostly called the ladies are called Apo ladies, and then the guys are called
Apologies.
Apo men. Yeah.
Ish. Yeah. Okay. So, thank you. Would you give us your final words?
Final words. Well, first of all, thank you for having me today. It's been great, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this year's contest and to the contestants. We are expecting a solid game from everyone. I hope this year's contest will be very interesting and we'll get to see more stars this year.
All right, thank you so much. Viewers, this is all time would permit us. We would like to have you on and on and on and on till like probably 9 o'clock, but time would not permit us. Join us if you want to hear more from past participants of the NSMQ. Join us same time, 5 p.m. next week, Thursday. It's me, Isaac Kwedukrai. This is the end of today's episode. Thank you very much. Bye bye.